Good morning and welcome to the iPLATO live webinar for learning how to send out a flu campaign. My name is Emma. I'm one of the trainers here at iPLATO, and I'm also joined by my colleague Hanny, who is running our live web chat. Please do not worry, you are all muted, but you can talk to us through the chat. If you need to locate that, please go to the black bar at the bottom of your screens. You can click on the speech bubble icon and you'll be able to chat to Hanny with any questions you might currently have, or if you're unable to hear us at all. Please be aware that the chat is open to everyone. You would be able to see everyone's questions, but you can also select the private option if you do want to just send a private message to Hanny directly, and she'll be able to answer it that way. We're just waiting for a few more people to join. And in the meantime, if you could just pay attention to our welcome message on the screen with our agenda and our webinar advice. We've had a few more people join our webinar, so I just want to say again, very good morning from the team here at iPLATO. My name is Emma. I'm one of the trainers here, and I'm also joined by my colleague Hanny, who is running our live web chat today. If you do need to talk to us, please feel free to select your chat option at the bottom of the screen, and you can ask us questions. So we can get started because I'm sure you're all very, very busy with running your practices. We're just going to start running through our agenda today. So as you can hopefully see on your screen, we are just currently now doing our welcome and intro, which will just be roughly about 10 minutes, just while we're waiting for a few more people to join and making sure everybody can hear us loud and clear. And we're just dealing with anybody who may be having any technical issues at this time. But then once we do get started, we're going to you're going to see an impersonation of an iPLATO system. This is just is a demo site that we are using, but it looks exactly like the sites that you use within your practices. We will firstly start on just to make sure that you've got your read code setting all enabled to be able to send out your flu campaigns. And then we will also then show you how you can create a group within your iPLATO system so you can contact a large amount of people. Then we'll talk about how you can create a template, and then within that template as well, have a trigger word for your patients to be able to respond. And with that word, we'll show you how you can also get that recoded as well and have everything recorded into your patients' journals for all our System 1 and Vision users, and inside your patient's care history for IMIS. Then we'll look at how you can send out a manual message from your iPLATO system to send out your flu campaign messages. I promise you, we are going to end on the help tab. This is where we're going to show you all your training documentation. We're going to have everything that we've covered today. So please feel free to have a pen and paper and write down a few little tips if you need to, but we have PDF guides for you with step-by-step of the way. We also have videos as well. Everything is already available within your iPLATO system. So we hope that we have all the training tools available for you. And then at the end of our session, we are going to have our live chats as well. So you're able to ask any questions on the topics that we cover today. Or if you would like us to recover anything at all. But hopefully I'll be able to answer all your questions as we're going through the chat as well. So far so good. I think a lot of us are already in, and I think everyone's now having everything's pretty nearly okay with audio. I just want to check with my colleague Hanny, just with one of our participants. So while we just do that, if I could just draw your attention to our webinar advice, just to let you know, obviously you are all muted. You should only hopefully be able to hear my voice. It's just because I'm going to guide you through the iPLATO system. We would really like you to recommend to not build your campaigns during the webinar. We just want you to be able to sit back and absorb the information. Questions will be answered during our live chat at the end as well, and we will be able to signpost you to everything within our help guides too. So I just want to touch base on, obviously, you're all our iPLATO customers and users, and all of you will have different kind of needs in certain ways. Please be aware that within our iPLATO system demo site, what we're using today, you will see some read codes. These read codes are just example read codes that we use within our demo site. We would always advise you to run your searches on your read codes within your own clinical system to make sure you've got exactly what you need. Also, if any of you are moving over to SNOMED, or maybe you've already moved over to SNOMED, we can also get that enabled for you as well with our support team. So again, nothing to worry about there. Okay, so I think everybody's pretty much now has joined, has come in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just now going to change our screen, and we're going to go to our live demo site. And hello again. So hopefully now what you should now see on your screens is our demo iPLATO system. For all of you that are site admins for your iPLATO systems, you will have 7 tabs across the top of the screen. If any of you are site users, you would have 5 tabs. You would not have the settings tab nor the MyGP. Also, within the text icon, you wouldn't have templates either. So if any of you are site users, please speak to your site admins to ask for the functionality, or to make sure that they're able to add any templates that you need on. We will be covering how to create templates later on in the session. But just as promised, when we with our intro, the first place we're actually going to touch base on is we're actually just going to go to our settings tab. And by selecting settings, you're going to have our 7 subtabs on the left-hand side, and we're just going to jump to our read code tab there on the left. One thing that I would like you to make sure that you all check before sending out any of your campaigns is making sure that the functions are enabled, because we want to make sure you're able to read code your campaigns that are going out, because we understand how important they are for you and your QoF reports. So SMS out automated, that's for all your manual message, that is all for all your automatic messages that are going out, all the reminders that are going out currently to your patients, just to remind them of their appointments. But then for your flu campaign, or any form of campaign you want to send out from the system, the two important things for you to have enabled is SMS out manual. That's for all your manual messages. So when you send out those messages, you can put on a read code to say you've sent, your first flu invitation or anything along those lines. Or for if you are going to put trigger words into your templates to ask your patients to reply, you want to make sure SMS in is enabled as well. So the system will read code for you the responses. For example, asking your patients to text back decline if they no longer require their flu jabs. So for all our IMIS users, you will find everything that's recoded within your patient care history. And for our System 1 and Vision users, you would find the recodes in your patient's journals. So just to recap on that as well, to find any recodes that has been done by your iPLATO system, for IMIS users, you can locate them in your patient care history. And for our System 1 and Vision users, you can locate them within your patient's journals. And that's all we need to cover on this section, just to make sure you can make sure everything is recoded within your clinical system. And again, any recodes that you do see on our demo site today, they're just example recodes. You may want to make sure that you use the correct ones that you do a search for in your clinical systems. And just to touch base, if any of you have moved over to SNOMED already, we can get that arranged for you as well. All you need to do is contact our support team to ask for that change. And you can do that by emailing them at help@iplato.net. And my colleague Hanny will be putting that email address in the chat just as I speak, and it's already in there. So any questions about SNOMED or moving over, please contact our support team. Well, we've touched base now on our recodes. Now let's go to how we can create a health campaign within your iPLATO system. And we're going to jump up to our phone book tab. And we're just going to select groups from our left-hand side menu. So this is where you're able to create a group to be able to contact a large amount of patients. And we know this year you've got very specific groups for your flu campaign based on the new types of injections. So potentially you are going to be creating a group for your 65 and overs, for your 18 to 65-year-olds, maybe pregnant at risk or children as well. You could also maybe create groups based on different dates and times. If you're going to ask your patients to call into the surgery, you might want to control the phone lines and how many people you're asking to call in at one time. So you could maybe create an AM group, a PM group. You could also create groups by day, a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday group. It's really up to you. It's your system. We're just going to enable you so you know how. So with your iPLATO system, it doesn't hold any of your patient's care history. You need to go to your clinical system to do that. So the first place you would go is you would go to IMIS System 1 or Vision, and you would go there and run the search on the patients you want to contact for a flu jab. Once you have run that search, you just need to export it into an Excel spreadsheet, and that's all you need to do. If you do need any assistance on how to export it into an Excel spreadsheet, please contact your clinical system support team directly. So I have prepared a little something earlier. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to show you a kind of example spreadsheet of potentially things you would see from a search that you've run. And then with this spreadsheet, you don't need to save it in a .csv or anything like that. You just need to open it up. So with your iPLATO systems, if you are a IMIS user or a Vision user, you could actually copy the data using your patient ID numbers that you can see here, or you might know them as IMIS IDs or Vision IDs. That's all the information you would need to know to be able to literally copy and paste this into your iPLATO system. Or if you are a System 1 user, you would want to use patient NHS numbers. And even if you are an IMIS or Vision user, you can also use NHS numbers as well. It's really up to you. One thing though, with patient NHS numbers, once you've run your search and you've opened it up into your spreadsheet, if you are noticing any spaces between those numbers, you are going to have to remove them. You can find really quick little bits of advice on popular search engines. You can find out how to remove them if you need to. Or you could always drop us a line at the training team and we can give you a quick little piece of advice. If you do need to contact us, that is training@iplato.net. But you have your search run. These are the people that you want to contact for a flu jab. I'm going to use the patient ID example for the webinar today. And literally, all you have to do, just select the letter of the column with the data that you want within it. Highlight it all, right click and copy, or you can Control C, and you'll see that all your data has been highlighted. That's it. That's all we need. And now we're just going to minimize our spreadsheet, and we come back to our iPLATO system. All we have to do then, we press our Add New button, and we can give our group a name. I'm just going to give it Flu Dummy today. And your group type will always be patient. Then all we have to do is save. Once saved, you've got your edit group box up on your screen. You can search for patients individually this way, but that's really time consuming. You've already ran your search and you've already got your data copied, ready to go. So if you are using your patient ID, patient IMIS number, Vision ID, you would keep this radio button highlighted, or if you're using a patient NHS number, you would select this option here. As I have selected patient IDs for my own example, all I have to do now is right click into this box and paste in the information, or Control V. As you can see, all the ID numbers are showing up there, but I need to move them over. So all you have to do that is just select Move Selected, press once, and just give your computers a moment just to move over the information, and then you'll see all the patients you would like to contact for a flu campaign. Now, this box represents every single one of your patients that has a mobile number registered within your clinical system. It will also include any patients that you have opted out within your iPLATO system. If they are opted out, they will be added to the group, but a message would not be sent to them. If you wanted to locate those patients, you can just press the export button. It would open up that list and you'd be able to see anybody that has opted out. And then you know you may want to contact them in a different fashion. Also, when you run your search on patients that need a flu jab, you're going based on who requires a jab rather than who has mobile phone numbers registered. So again, you would probably want to locate those patients, and you can do so by selecting the excluded button. When you do that, the box will change and you get this title above it, List of Recipients that has not been added to the group. Here would be every single patient that does not have a mobile number registered within your clinical system. You couldn't even send them a text message if you tried. You may then want to just maybe highlight that information, copy it, and maybe move it into a WordPad, Notepad, or maybe back onto your spreadsheet of where you ran that search, maybe open up a new tab. And then again, these are patients you may need to just contact in a different fashion, by a letter, by a phone. It's whatever process you run in your practice. But when we jump back to included, these are the patients that you can message. Then again, you can sometimes highlight and select delete a patient if you needed as well. But if you're all happy with your list, all we have to do is press save. That is it. You have created your group. You'll always have the date of when it was created or when you edited it, but this is where they are stored. Now, please bear in mind, we would always advise when you create a group, always start afresh from each time. The reason because every day patients' contact information can change. Patients' health needs can change. So, and then sometimes you might be sending out second invites, third invites as well, and potentially you may want to avoid patients receiving multiple messages. So whenever you send a health campaign out through your iPLATO system, best practice guidelines, create a group from scratch every time. Then you know you've always got the most up-to-date patient information within that group. And I'm just going to reconfirm the steps that we've just run. So to create a group within your iPLATO system, all you need to do is go to your clinical system, run a search on the patients that you want to contact, export that list into an Excel spreadsheet. For our IMIS and Vision users, you could use the patient IDs, IMIS IDs, Vision IDs, to copy and paste into your iPLATO system. Or if you're a System 1 user, you could use NHS numbers. Again, just copying and pasting that over from a spreadsheet. You press Add New, you give your group a name, and then you can just paste the information into the relevant box and then move it over to recipients when you're ready and press Save. That's all you need to do to create a group. And we do have a step-by-step video on how to do this as well, just to reconfirm. And it's also, we have a step-by-step PDF guide as well for you. Now that's literally how you would create a group. Okay, and I believe the group chat is doing very well at the moment as well, and there's no real questions coming based on groups. We will answer more questions about that at the end of our session, but just so we can move along quickly, let's go to our next tab along, which is text, and we can now talk about how we're going to communicate with those patients. So when you select message, this is how you would be able to send a manual message from your iPLATO system. But before you do that, because potentially you're going to be sending multiple messages all the time, you may want to create a template just to make your lives easier. And then when you send out a message, it's just a couple of clicks. So we're going to go to our templates tab here. And you can see two examples that we've added in of potentials that you may want to use for sending out a flu campaign. For all our iPLATO users, we've set you up with these templates within your system, just to give you some examples. The top example talks about your patients being eligible for a flu jab, and you can just call to book an appointment and giving them the option to text back decline to refuse. We've also given a walk-in clinic example as well. Maybe you don't want your patients to phone in. And again, eligible for a free flu jab and information on attending walk-in clinics with dates and times. But again, giving them that option to text back decline to refuse with a trigger word right there. Best practice guidelines is when you create a template, we would always advise to add your practice name at the beginning. And if you wanted to include a patient's name so they are aware who the message is intended for, in case you do have patients sharing a mobile number, you could put in the variable field or a mail merge of first name or first name too. Please do not worry, at the end of this session, we will make sure that you know where you can locate these variable fields mail merges, and we'll also paste them into the chat for you later on during our Q&A session. But in the meantime, I want to just show you how you can create a template just in case you do want to start from scratch. And all you have to do is press Add New. You then get a manual template message box come up on your screen, and you can start freehanding a message into your system if you needed to. Or if you're very organized, you might have some templates already created. You've checked all your spelling as well, and you can just copy them and paste them in as well. Your iPLATO system will always tell you how many characters your message will be. One text message from your iPLATO system is 160 characters. If your message goes over that, your message will go out into two parts and will take 2 credits. 1 credit is 160, going over that would be 2 credits and 2 parts. And just to touch base on that, if any of you are CCG funded, you have got credits allocated within your system. Or if any of you fund your own system, you will be able to send credit requests over to our support team or your build at the end of the month, depending on what your deal is. If you do have any questions on credits, please email our support team at help@iplato.net. And they can answer any questions, or you can put some requests in for credits if you do not have any. When we show you how to send out your manual messages, I will show you how you can see how many available credits you have, and plus another place within your system of where you can also have a look as well. You also always want to make sure you give your template a heading as well, so you can easily allocate it as well. The system will always try to save your template with the top heading of whatever template you already have there. But if you just want to create a new one, press your plus button, and again, you can then type in a different name for your template. And once you're happy, all you have to do is press save. And then your message has been created. At any point, you can come in and edit and remove anything that you want. Maybe you want to save on some credits and just remove a few words. And you can always delete your templates as well if you just want to clean up as well. And that is it. That's all you need to do to create a template. And if you are going to use a trigger word within your template, we would always advise best practice, the word you want your patients to reply to, put it in capitals, make it really nice and obvious of what you want. Because you can say text back decline to refuse, but if they're all lowercase, you may have the odd patient texting back refuse. It's just the nature of patient behavior. Now, you've created your group, you know who you want to contact. You've created your template, you have your message ready. We now need you to tell your iPLATO system, I want this trigger word to record this recode in my clinical system to help me along with my QOF reports. And to do that, all we need to do is press our campaign tab on the left. Now, just like your flu invitation template message, we do also make sure that you have your flu invitation decline already set up within your iPLATO system when you first became a user. However, you may have removed it, or maybe you have a different trigger word, maybe a different recode that you want to use. If it is already set up in your system, if you're happy with how it's all set up, to turn it on, all you have to do is press your edit button, check over the details, and then you select your calendar icon. When you select your calendar icon, you are going to tell your iPLATO system, please record all the responses from my patients up until this date. And then the system will read code absolutely all their responses within their patient journals for System 1 and Vision users, and within the patient care history for IMIS, as long as they've texted in the word correctly and no odd spelling mistakes. So to turn it on, you just select a date in the future and save. Once the status is green, you've got the go-ahead then to send out your message and it will start recording. If you leave the status as red, the system will not know you want it to read code. Now, if you do actually need to create a campaign, create a new trigger word, to do that, you just have to press Add New. And that's where, again, you give your campaign a title and you give it a trigger word. Best practice guidelines, make your trigger words unique. We say try and move away from things like yes and no. They're very common words that people could put in a reminder message saying, yes, I'm going to attend my appointment, or no, I'm cancelling. And the system's just not intelligent to understand the difference between the two. Think of things, decline, refuse, stop, ignore, never. It's whatever you want. Make it a singular word as well. Then you would be going into your clinical system and finding your read code that you want to use. I'm just going to type in a generic read code that, just as an example. As you can see, when you start typing in that read code, the system wants to guess what you're going for. I can see the example that I want. I'll select the term and it generates it into the box there. And again, I want to turn it on. So I just select my calendar icon and I'll select a date in the future of how far in advance I want my iPLATO system to record those responses and recode into your patient's records. When selecting your expiry date for campaigns, just bear in mind how people respond to text messages. You will find you'll get most of your responses in the first 48 to 72 hours. Approximately after 3-4 days, you're going to find your responses are going to become less and less and less. That's because people have either responded, deleted, ignored, or maybe their message failed. So, and also you might be running your second invites, your third invites. So potentially you might want to have a little gap in between sending out those messages as well. So you could record your responses for 4 weeks, 6 weeks in advance, or you could turn on the campaign for the whole of the flu season up until March. It's really up to you. I'm just going to select the end of September for my example, and I'm just going to press save. There we go. My campaign has been created and it's already activated in green. So I know I can send out my message straight away and the system will start doing the job that I need it to do, recoded into the patient's records. If at any time you want to turn your campaign off ahead of schedule, Again, just like you did to turn it on, you just press your edit button, select your calendar icon, and all you have to do, select a date in the past, save, and your campaign will turn off and stop recording any of those responses there. But as I said, as of midnight of the date you've set it to, it will do it. It will record all the responses up until midnight and then will turn off automatically for you. And that is literally how you would set up a campaign to record patients' responses. Touching base on all the steps we've done so far, we've created our group, we've created our template with our message, we've got our campaign set up with recodes. The last and final step is sending out a manual message to the patients. To send out manual messages to your patients, all you have to do is press your message tab. Once you've pressed that, you have your 3 tabs here: recipient list, messages, and sending options. And we have step 1. We want to select who we want to send a message to. You can search your patients individually if you wanted to by typing in a surname, maybe a patient ID or an NHS number, and you can just move them over. If you need to. But we know we've created our group. We have it right down here. All you have to do, select your group, move it over. That's all you have to do. It will show you the number of recipients that's going to be included in the group down the bottom. Now, when you create your group, you may find that you have a particular number for the group. Maybe you have 100 patients that you want to contact, but you move them over to recipients here and the number decreases. That's because the system will never send out any messages to a patient that's been opted out through their iPLATO system, nor will it ever send a message twice if patients are sharing a mobile number. You might have 2 patients who are sharing the same mobile phone number. They both require a flu jab, but the system will only send that message once. So please don't be alarmed if you see that number drop. So we've got who we're going to contact. We're now going to move over to our next step. And we come to our message options. Step 2, we're going to choose the message we want. Again, you can freehand your message here if you need to. But we've been really nice and organized. We've got our template all created. You can see all the headings in bold there for you. To move a template over, you just select it underneath the heading, highlight in blue, and move over. The message moves over. Again, it tells you how many characters your message will be, and you can still at this stage edit it if needed to, if you want to save on some credits. But just bear in mind, this would not edit it in the main template. You would need to go in there yourself to do it if you want to keep it that way in the future. But you're all happy with this. We're now going to go to next, our sending options. If you keep your radio button Send Now highlighted, once you've filled in your other areas, you can send it out. The system will then queue everything to go out straight away. But again, you might want to get organized. You might want to control the phone calls that come through to your practice. You might have created, your AM, PM groups. You might be sending the messages out to your 65 and overs first. So to do that, you just have to press Send Later, and then you can select the date that you want your message to go out, and you can select the time as well. Please bear in mind that your iPLATO system is set in a 24-hour format. So you want to be thinking of your 1300s, 1400s, 1500s for afternoon messages. I have heard a horror story where someone sent out a message at 2 o'clock in the morning to their patients, and it went down a little bit like a lead balloon. I always want to prevent every single practice I speak to from doing that. I want you to have a happy life and for flu campaigns to go successfully for you. So just bear that in mind when you select your time. And then we have our all-important read code button again. This is where you can add a read code onto your manual message, so it records into your patient's journals or patient care history that you have sent this. I'm again just going to type in a generic read code that I know as an example of sending out a message. Again, the system always tries to guess which one you're going for. I will select my preferred read code. That will generate the term into the box ready. And you can also select a read code comment if you want to. It's not mandatory. Some practices like to record where the message was sent from. Just so you know, this was sent out via text message. But again, you do not need to add it if you don't want to. Once you're happy with all the information in there, press save, and the system will hold this change for you ready for this manual message. Now, for whoever is logged into the iPLATO system and setting up the message, the system's going to want to tell you about all the responses. And some of you might go, I get enough emails already. I'm okay. I really don't want it. Actually, my colleague is the one monitoring campaign responses. They should really get the responses. So to do that, all you need to do is hit reply change, and you get this box come up on your screen. Default, you will see your email address. I'm virtual because this is a demo site. But to customize it, select the radio button, and the add email pink bar will highlight for you. All you have to do, type in your preferred email. You might have the generic practice email address you want to add in there. Some of you may have actually set up an iPLATO email address for everything iPLATO for responses to go to. It's really up to you how you want to manage this. But you add in the email and press plus. By doing that, the email will jump into your custom email list, saving your change. And again, you can even add multiple email addresses if you want to, because maybe you might have more than one person being involved. Just remember to always press plus to hold the changes, but then you can always delete selected if you needed to. Once you're happy with all the email addresses, just press save. If you do not require to change the email address, you may be happy to receive the responses, then just don't change the reply email. But we're ready to go. We're then going to press the confirm to send button. This is your get out of jail free card. This gives you an opportunity to look through your message confirmation summary before anything goes out to your patients to make sure you are happy. It will show you the message that you have set up, how many characters. You might go, oh, it's actually going over. If it's going over 160, you might want to go back and just change it to save on some credits. It will tell you how many recipients. Now, this is one part for anybody that is a CCG funded or maybe funds their own credits ahead of schedule. If at any point when you're sending out a campaign, you see your current credits and a minus afterwards, I would then advise you to cancel the message and contact our support team at help@iplato.net to request some credits. If any of you pay monthly by direct debit, then you will see minus and you will be billed at the end of the month. But if it's all happy, it's not showing minus, you've got enough credits, it's going to be fine. Check over your scheduled date and time, making sure your time is in the 24-hour format. You'll see your default read code on there, also your custom read code that you want on there for your QOF, and also the reply email that you've changed as well. You can always send yourself a copy if you want to have that for your records. If at any point you realize, oh no, I forgot to change my reply email and I don't want all these messages, you can press cancel and go back to whatever step here that you need. Or if you want to edit your message, press previous. You can go there or back to previous to change any of your recipients as well. But then if you are all happy, if you do make any changes, again, you've checked over your confirmation summary, all you have to do is press send, and you get this message coming up on your screen. Your message has been sent. See delivery status reports in for an update. Now, if you have queued your message to go out at a later date, please do not worry. It will queue it up to do it exactly when you want. And you can jump to your reports tab and you would be able to see in the queued section exactly where it is. Also, this is another way for you to see your credit balance within your iPLATO system as well. For any of our practices that use the MyGP app, your message, if any of your patients that downloaded the app, their messages will go out via data, which you can see represented by this icon here. That means that is free for you and free for your patients to message back decline. For any patients that are just receiving SMS messages, text messages, or if you're not an MyGP user, it will go out via credits and that will be represented by this icon here. If any of you would like some more information about our MyGP app and the benefits, please feel free to email us at training@iplato.net and we can send you over some information of how it could benefit you as a practice and how you can save on credits for sending out your messages as well. Once your messages start going out and you're receiving replies, you could always again come to your reports and inbox section to look at all the responses that are coming through from your patients. We've got a great function here where you can actually export your responses into an Excel spreadsheet if you want to filter it in any way and just check over any information. Or in some cases, if a patient has just accidentally replied back with a different trigger word or maybe a wrong misspelling, you might then just need to manually read code their response into their records for you. But that's literally how you would send out a health campaign. Now, as promised, I'm not leaving you empty-handed today. I don't expect you to remember everything I did today. So we're going to now jump to our help tab. Every single one of you have this tab in your iPLATO system. We at Training, we use it on a day-to-day basis as well. But this is where you can find out everything about how your system works. First things first, our contacts tab here on the left-hand side. This is for your friendly iPLATO support team. They have all the knowledge on the system that you could ever possibly want. If you want to know how certain things work, if you've got any questions on your credits, or should you have anything technical that you need querying, please drop them an email. They're happy to help and they can get back to you in a very timely fashion. You also have your download tab on the left-hand side. These are all your PDF guides. We have lots of different topics there for you based on IG, teenage consent, anything, information you might want about your iPLATO system. Groups is something we did today, but the best guide for you based on our live webinar today is this one right down here, Best Practice Guidelines for Seasonal Flu. This is exactly what we have done today, step by step of the way. You have a download tab. You can save it onto your desktops if you want to, or you can just click on the PDF icon and you'll be sent straight to the document. And just to prove that it's exactly what we've done today, we've had an introduction. It shows you how you can set up and create your groups with screenshots. It talks about messages and it gives you some examples there that you might be interested in using. Also how you can set up your campaign and then sending out your manual message through your iPLATO system. Making sure you get your read codes on there, changing your reply email if needed, and plus looking at responses as well. If you love a guide, but also want a little bit more support and documentation, you can jump to your FAQ section. Here we have loads of questions and answers on lots of different things. Pacific group, just questions about groups, if you needed to. Message scheduling, if needed. We also have our video tutorials as well. We have one on groups, as you can see here. But if I go back up to the top, we also have manual messages and campaigns and how to send it out. So it's all there for you if needed. Also, if you did want some information on the MyGP app, we have got some information there about how you, about the app, and also our call recall function where you can actually send out your messages using the app as well, and having your patients book through the app with a specific slot type that only your flu patients would be able to see. Please contact us at the training team if you want some further information about this, if you want setting up, or if you want us to talk you through how to send a campaign through there as well. Or you have got your video that will talk you through step by step of the way. It's very similar to what we've done already on how to send out a campaign. It's just everything's on one screen for you, step 1, step 2, and step 3. Also, I promised you I'm going to show you where you can see your variable fields, or mail merges as some of you might know them, within your iPLATO system. If we just select number 4, message setup, and we select 4.1, we come to this screenshot here, and you can just scroll down. We have programmed the iPLATO system to recognize 14 different variable fields. However, please bear in mind there's only 3 that you could use for a manual message. 1 to 10 is all based on things for your appointment reminders, but to send out a campaign, these are your variable fields that you would want to use right here. You can literally copy and paste and put them into your message if you wanted to. And also Hanny has so lovingly already put them into the chat if you already want to grab hold of them and copy and paste them into a Word document as well. And that is it. That is literally how you would send out a health campaign from your iPLATO system. Thank you, all the best, and have a great rest of the week from everybody here at iPLATO.